My soul namaskars to everyone. Welcome to PMC English. I am your Pradeep Anirudh. My dear friends, every flower will have its own fragrance. Every yogi will have his own flavor, his own unique journey. Here is a man who is born on 1985 August in Punjab, the land of five rivers. He had a massive transformation in June 2014. Then he stopped living for himself and then he started living for others. That is the day of his transformation. He is none other than Sri Vishal Palji. So we will know about his spiritual journey today. Namaste Swamiji. We are very happy to be with you today. We would like to know about your journey today.
Right, Pradeep. I'm really pleased that I'll be speaking on my journey today. And like you said, it was actually a massive transformation that happened in June 2014. And it was a sudden experience for me. And when I say it was an experience, it was something which happened just overnight. It was 13th June 2014 when it happened with me. And it took me almost a year to stabilize myself for what exactly I was seeing in the world and what exactly we had been taught and trained and programmed in this world from our very childhood by our family, by teachers and society and all our by all our friends and all the people whom we meet on our journey throughout the birth. So when that happened with me, it was like the first thing that I was just seeing myself in the morning in the mirror when I was just brushing my teeth, and the first thing that I was experiencing was that everyone is just seeing my body and nobody is actually speaking to me. Everyone, any other being whom I'm speaking to is just speaking to my body, and they're experiencing just my body. And nobody is able to see who exactly I am and what exactly I want to do, who am I, from where have I come. And nobody is able to look at the real me. They are just seeing the body, the structure, the physical earthly body, and thereafter they are not concerned about who exactly the being is and what exactly the being is here for. So that is how my journey started. And as I went along, I came across like few more people in spirituality, because before that there was no exposure to spirituality, as we say, what spirituality is today, like meditation or any spiritual organization or any experience as such. There was nothing like that. It was just like a very general routine life where you have to just study, you have to then get into a job, then you have to get into a marriage, then ultimately a routine family life goes on. So that was a simple upper middle class life that I had that time, because I was working that time with one of the leading textile industries. But after June 14, it was like a complete changeover. And when a being in the family changes, it is never a change for him. It is a change for the family as well, because the family also experiences a different being, because I was no more the same being whom they were interacting with or living with. Similarly for my parents, for my wife, it was all like a different thing. And when all this was happening, I was not able to convey what exactly was happening inside me to my family, because whatever I was telling them, it was exactly the opposite they were speaking. If I'll say that job is a slavery, I don't want to get into any form of slavery at that time. And they were saying, no, job is necessity. And I'm sure every other parent on earth would say the same thing, what exactly my parents were saying. So it was similar thing what was happening to me, but what I was seeing in the world was exactly opposite. And slowly and steadily it took me almost a year's time to balance myself, to stabilize myself. And ultimately then we see what exactly the revolution is on earth and how exactly the things are shaping up on this land. And so far the journey had been just to stabilize the spirit beings and waking them up, and to establish the dharma. Dharma means law. So that is what my whole life is for, and I'll be living just like that.
So that is the realization which you have got on that day or in that year?
In that year.
In that year.
Okay. Because when I was seeing onto people's face, there was like face was different, because you generally see normal faces, but you don't see what exactly is behind the face, whether it's a spirit or a non-spirit, whether it is the real, the spirit which is inside the body, or exactly it's like the dark forces functional around, how the matrix is working. Because these were the terms which were like more of ancient terms. And what I could experience was these terms are now lost in the world. They are nowhere in the world. And but whatever terms like abundance or manifestation, these terms are used today, they are used in a very different definition. They are given a very short-term definition which is just around money. But money is just like one resource on earth. But there is something more to it. And that definitions has to be corrected. So this is what my journey from 2014 to 2021 had been to correct the definitions first and then making people realize what exactly can make our life more happy, more blissful, and then yet living in the real way than just living in a superficial, artificial life.
So here in Bible it is said, in the beginning was Word,
Yeah.
Word was with God,
Yeah.
and Word was God.
Yeah.
But in the Hindu scriptures, they say Om is the primordial sound,
Yeah.
where from Om all sounds has come, all the creation has come.
Yeah.
What is the correlation between word and sound
Okay.
and a vibration?
Right. So the first and the foremost, the term Hindu has to be corrected because Hindu is really not a scripture-based word. The word Hindu is a post-Mughal word. After the Mughal era came, then the word Hindu and Hindustan is given. The word Stan is not a Sanskrit word. The word Sthan is like Rajasthan. But Stan is a Islamic-based word. And similar is the word like Hindu and Hindustan. So Hindu is a post-Mughal word. It's not a Vedic scriptural word. It's not a scripture word. So the real word is Sanatan. And other word that we can use at best is Vedic. So for the Vedic Bharat or the Bharatvarsh means the whole land on Bhumandala. So that is what Bharatvarsh is. And the piece that we live on is Bharat. So because we had been taught these terms like through media, and these are like from last 6 to 7 generations, the similar terminology is coming up. Like 6 to 7 generations, when I say it is just like 500, 600 years roughly. So everyone is taught these terminologies. So Hindu it has to be corrected to firstly Sanatan. Sanatan means eternal law. So when we know eternal laws, then we know how to live those laws on the land while being in the body. That's the most important. Now then, as scripture speaks about the word and the sound, like you mentioned that first was the word was with God and word was God. And similar is the primordial sound that we speak about like Om, Hari Om and Omkar. So these are the sounds which are there. So the primordial sound and the word is exactly the same. Now you see, one human being is one audio box. One human being is one audio box. It is just like they're producing certain sounds. They're speaking some language. Now language can be Telugu, language can be Devanagari, language can be Tamil, language can be English, language can be any. So when they're speaking certain sound out of their mouth, now that sound can be of anywhere in the 7 colored spectrum. It could be of red, it could be of yellow, it could be of green, it could be of violet or ultraviolet. So depending upon what exactly the sound is produced, that is how it defines the God and the godliness in the being. First is the word. Word means, it simply means the original everything is around sound, and whatever we see around is all frequency and sound. So that is why in Vikul also we more focus upon the speech correction. That everyone has to correct their speech. They have to speak a language which is more of sattva based, which is more of a pure language than the language which is taught to us through the colleges and institutions and in the corporates and all that fixed culture that teaches us. Like people are so programmed now more the technology is advancing, what we call as the advanced technology, but exactly it is not advancement in the technology. It is just like the technology is becoming more degraded and more programmed, and beings are becoming more artificial beings. Because if you see, the beings are nowadays they don't use any expression of speech. They're using more of emoticons. They're using more of GIFs. They're using more of fixed things like beautiful, cool, pretty, pick, nice. These are like the fixed words which are given to them. LOL. So these are like the fixed words. So these words has to be, removed out of the dictionary. And the real words has to come out. And real words can only come out when you learn the speech in the righteous way. And the word exactly more and more purified the speech is. That is why the throat center, that is also called Vishuddhi. The word Vi simply means vitality and vigor, and Shuddhi means purification. More and more purified speech one has, more godliness one will have. And that is how the whole speech, the sound and the frequency defines the God and godliness. And godliness has to be manifested in the body. And that only reflects in the behavior. And behavior can only be godly once one disciplines, firstly as human being. So that is how it all goes. And all cultures be it Christianity, be it the Sanatans or ancient Vedic or any other culture on earth, they are all speaking the same language. They are all around the same thing. They are all speaking the same language. It is all same.
You said godliness has to be first manifested in the body.
Yeah.
Swami Vivekananda told, manifest the divinity within. This is the essence of any religion.
Yeah.
Even Bible says God's kingdom is within.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Seek ye the kingdom of God.
Correct.
So how exactly to do that?
The first and the foremost is one has to realize that they are given body. Because so far on earth, what you will see is now today people really don't know how to have good food. You have to actually teach people that what exactly is right food for them. So once people have lost that level of consciousness where they really don't know about the food also, and you have to correct their food, that means the earthly body is not fed well. So first is the handling of the body. How one handles the body, how one manages the body, how one disciplines the body. That is the first and the foremost thing, because you are given a body on earth. So in the nature, everything is there for some reason. And everything whichever is there has certain laws. So the earthly body has one straight law, that earthly body has to be given the earthly food. So earthly food simply means which is grown on earth. It is as straight a thing. It's so simple a thing. But if food is not corrected and still we want to change the habits, and by doing some technique we want to change something or bring some spiritual experiences, that is not going to help anyone and manifest God in the body or seeking the kingdom of the God. Seeking the kingdom of God simply means to activate your glands. The word gland simply means G-lands, God's lands. So there are different lands in the body which are glands. And glands in Sanskrit, there is a simple term which is called Granthi. So Granthi is the producer of the Granth. From the gland only the godliness is activated. And a more simpler thing is, more better a food one has, more easy it becomes to activate the glands. And food, when I say it includes the food for the body, which is like physical food, as well as the input of the senses, which in Sanskrit we'll call it as ahar. So whole ahar has to be corrected first. Once one corrects the ahar, the food, the physical eating habits, more better it becomes to activate the glands. Because ultimately, the bliss, the pleasure, the joy, the divinity, the godliness, the spirituality, it can only function once one has the happy hormones in the body. And producing the happy hormones is a very simple thing. It can easily be produced. But by correcting the basics of the life, that is more important. Because basics is all about Mooladhara. So if Mooladhara is not activated, no other land can be activated first. So that is the way to manifest the godliness in the body and to seek the kingdom of God.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Swami, you spoke about Mooladhara, where you also spoke about importance of food. So what else has to be done to balance Mooladhara? It's also about grounding, right? Grounding and belongingness.
See, whatever words we are given, like we started with understanding what exactly the word is, then sound, then godliness. Now we have reached on to the very basic, like Mool Adhar. So in this reality, in this earthly matrix, the word is very, very important, because everything begins with word. And even in Vedic times, the Shabda Brahm had been like very, very important. And from Shabda Brahm, then we have to get into another Vidya, which is called Varna Vidya. So Varna Vidya, which nobody today speaks about, because nobody is working on their self. And while they're not working on their self, that is the only reason they are not able to extract any Vidyas or bring those Vidyas back to this land. Because like the age of Aquarius is coming, which is called Kumbha Yuga. So that means the celestial waters and celestial knowledge, the nectar, it has to come on earth now. And beings have to become, ready for that, to absorb that nectar of immortality, as well as the celestial knowledge, the real celestial knowledge. Like, to get ready for that, one has to work upon their Mool Adhar. So, To understand anything in this reality, the word is a code. Every word that we speak is a code, and that code has to be understood properly. The first word like we have used is Mool Aadhar, let's say. So Mool means root, Aadhar means the foundation, the basics. So base foundation of life is Mool Aadhar. Rest in spirituality today, they are like given every fantasy image of Mool Aadhar, that something will occur. So the most important thing in a being that you can sense that whether the basics of life is correct or not, that will exactly show you whether the being's Mooladhar is functional or not. Like suppose, let's say the Mooladhar is all about activation of your totality in the basics of life. How you activate totality is, suppose you're living in certain way, and there is a divine way of living, which is called the lawful way of living, dharmic Jeevan Shaili. So to activate Mool Aadhar, one has to know the law. Law for what are the basics of life. And the basics of life are only like three. In the Trigunatmak Jagat, there are only three basics of life. One is food, clothes, and shelter. Now food, as I said, it's a complete term in English, but in Sanskrit the term is ahar. So ahar has to be corrected first. For correction of ahar, one has to firstly know what exactly should be our ahar on earth. Like for food, I said the simple sutra is like earthly body should be given like earthly food. What grows on the land, you should eat that. That's one of the simplest.
So not the animals.
Not the animals, not at all. Because animals, simply this matrix gives a very clear signal, Because in the matrix you will see the things which you are given to eat, they are always given a green signal. Like green signal even on a red light, when it is green you can move. And when it is red you have to stop. And non-vegetarian food is already given a red dot. And vegetarian food is given a green dot. So the sense of seeing, which is eyes should tell you that it is a red dot food, I should not eat it. It is a green food, I should go ahead with it. Because red is certainly the color of danger. It's a danger zone, red light areas, red alert. So we know what color red represents. So food has to be corrected first. And in senses also, the sensory correction can only happen once you have the center. The word common sense simply means your senses has to be on a common point. And that common point can be only that being who has worked upon all the centers and has reached the highest. And highest has the signals, how you would know that whether the being is on Sahasrar or a crowned being or not. That you can very well know from looking at the being. It's as simple as that. So first is food, second is clothes. Now clothes simply has to be like more of making your body more free, breathable. And then secondly, it should be based upon what exactly your geographical location is. And then another point that you should consider while having your clothes is what exactly is the weather, the season, which is called Ritu. And correction of all this is called Ritucharya. Charya means Shaili, lifestyle, and Ritu simply means righteous. Righteous lifestyle is called Ritucharya. And Ritu also is called season. So seasonal food, seasonal clothing, and at the same time seasonal way of living. Like in the ancient times also, rishis had been living all around the world. Where it is like winter, they will go into like a better place. Where it is summer, they will go into a more cooler place. So that had been like the tradition in Bharat. But today it is not, because everyone is given like a sedentary lifestyle, man-made buildings, more cubicle boxes, and people cannot go out of those boxes. So cube box also simply means a three-dimensional way of living. But Mooladhar can only be activated once one has a multi-dimensional way of living, not the three-dimensional way of living. Three-dimensional way of living simply means you're living just the earthly programmed physical life. And multi-dimensional way of living is that you're elevating your Mooladhar for going upwards into Swadhisthana. That is how one can activate the basics of life. Working on the basics activates the Mooladhar and fixes it forever. Then it does not go anti-clockwise again. And it remains as such.
So once you have worked on Mooladhar, that means you have worked on it forever.
Yeah.
You doesn't have to work on it again.
Yeah. So Mooladhar simply means once you know the law, you go with the law forever. Then you don't change the law of living like, again, like if you have chosen to go with like vegetarian lifestyle, which is like today it is like very popular, like vegetarian. It is simply means you have to earthly body, earthly food. If you go with the earthly food, that simply means you are going with the same thing. If you change in between, let's say you start becoming like eating animals, then ultimately your lifestyle will become ultimately animalistic. So from animalistic lifestyle will come. From earthly, the earthly lifestyle will change. So once Mooladhara is fixed, then you move on to the highest. As I said, the most important thing is you have to have a center. Without center, without the being you are hooking yourself onto and learning the real laws, that is not possible to activate, because that requires hand holding from one to one. Like Krishna Arjuna is one on one. Krishna is available to Arjuna. It's not that Krishna was just delivering something and going off. And he was there throughout the battlefield and throughout his life. And Arjuna was there standing with him, learning through whatever he was delivering. And he was listening to him properly. That is how it functions.
So you mean to say hooking to an enlightened person is important for a person to have his own evolution?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the word yog itself means, in Hebrew there is a word called vav, V-A-V, vav, which simply means to hook. And in Sanskrit we have the word yog. And in English we have the word communion. So it is simply means you are hooking yourself to a higher being, connecting yourself to the higher being, and you're learning from that higher, absorbing. It's just like an empty vessel getting filled by a filled vessel, which is called patra. So this is how you grow on this path. There is no other way.
In this juncture, Swamiji, I would like to know your thoughts on what is Bhakti Yoga, what is Karma Yoga, what is Gnana Yoga, and what is Raja Yoga or Dhyana Yoga.
Now the basic term is yog. As I said, yog simply means to join, to connect, to hook to a higher. Towards the higher, there can be only two forms of yoga. There are only two yoga, there are no third. Rest all are like the popularized terms and living a fragmented life. The two terms which are there and actually required is Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, which even Bhagavad Gita mention, even the scriptures mention, even like all cultures mention of the same thing. It is about Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Anyone who is a Bhakt, a devotee, he automatically lands into real knowledge. Anyone who is Jnani, by default becomes a Bhakt. Okay. Now Karma simply means action. So Karma is not only for yoga. Yoga karma su kaushalam. Yoga is the only karma. And yoga has only two parts, Bhakti and Jnana. There is no third. Now Dhyan is one. Dhyan means attention. Once you have the real teacher in front of you, your whole attention is on that. So by default, Dhyan is there. Karma automatically happens as per the teaching, as per the law. Real knowledge is absorbed and ultimately you land up into Bhakti. Because just if you see, to a Bhakt, nobody teaches the Vairagya. The one who is a Bhakt is automatically a Vairagi. The Bhakt automatically becomes a Jnani. And Jnani by default becomes the Bhakt because he is so connected to the source of the knowledge. And Bhakti and Jnana ultimately they work together. And there is no third way. That is why even Krishna speaks of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Because of today's chapterization is made that way so that it becomes easy. Otherwise it's just like a dialogue between you and me. It's a dialogue. So now dialogue can be put into chapters and you have to give the name of the chapter. Otherwise Krishna simply speaks, it's Bhakti and Jnana. These are the only two ways. There's no third. Karma is yoga. Yoga simply means to hook, to connect with the higher. That is how the whole thing works.
Cool, Swami. Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita they have given 18 different chapter names with 18 yogas.
Yeah.
So there's also one statement that is coming and tapping me right now, which says Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Where it says Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, that equanimity, seeing everything equal, is also yoga.
The most important thing is it is about the Siddhi Yoga. When we are speaking of mastery through connectivity. Okay, the word Siddhi Yoga simply means mastery through connectivity, through yoga. You connect to the higher and then you can only master yourself. And mastery simply, there are like multiple masteries. Even in one being, the first mastery is about the vices of a being. Like out of the Shadripu, there can be any vices one being can have at any point in life. One can have like Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Dvesh, Mad, Matsarya. So anything can be your vice at one point. Now you have to work on that vice and you have to master it so that it never appears again. That's one. Second is you have to master the points of the centers. Like suppose for Mooladhara you have to master the basics of life. For Swadhisthana you have to master the intelligence. For Manipur you have to establish the Mani functionality. For Anahat you have to master the Som. For Vishuddhi you have to master the speech. For Ajna you have to master whom to obey to. The real knowledge and the bliss appears then. And Sahasrara is just like, it's not the mastery, it's a mile, it's a final destination. Rest all centers are like milestones. So there are only 6 centers. That is why it is called Shat Chakra. It is never said Sapta Chakra. It's a Shata Chakra and 7th is the state. You are there. So Siddhi Yoga is all about the mastery. Now seeing everyone equally simply means that you know the law and you live in the Samavastha, where it is for you not to look at the beings. You connect yourself in such a way to the higher, you learn the real laws, and you simply look at the beings as being, not as the some high authority, someone sitting on the stage, or some teacher, or some XYZ name tag which is like prefixes, suffixes given. You call Krishna, Krishna, Mira, Mira, Guru Nanak, and Kabir, Kabir. You don't give prefixes or suffixes to them, which is like very popular in today's world. So name is what is the code of that being, and you call that being as being. That is called Samavastha. So that is what equanimity is all about.
I really like your way of seeing when you said when you know the laws, then you can see everyone equal, or you can have that equanimity. Law, as I understand, is something which can bring unmanifest to manifest. And there are so many laws by which nature operates, but not everyone knows all the laws, how the nature operates, where only some enlightened people may know it. So what do you think is a primary law which is governing this nature?
My perspective on this is that nature has like multiple laws, but the most important law of the nature is the divine proportion, which is called Sankhya. Sankhya is the base foundation of all the laws in the nature, because nature is just representation of what exactly is inside you. And you have to just align yourself to the outside nature to align yourself to the divinity and the real creation. And real creation actually functions in the same divine proportion as it is shown to you outside in the nature. Once you know the law of Sankhya and you have the Sankhya Darshan, that exactly what is the ratio that is working in a tree, in on land, in a flower, in a cow, inside your body, on your spine, on one center, on the other center, and how you have to align yourself to that ratio. That is what natural laws are all about. And that is very popular today. It is called as like golden ratio, phi ratio, or it is called Fibonacci, series. So that is now come up, because people are becoming more and more aware of the real things which are happening in the world and which are the existing laws. And now once you align yourself to these laws, it becomes very easy to align yourself to the unmanifested also, because manifestation is exactly in front of you. To see to see nature, you have to open your eyes. The word nature also has a root word, Sanskrit word, which is called nitra. So if you close your eyes, then you cannot see nature, and nitra are given to see nature. And now nature has like 2 parts. One is the nature outside and another is your own nature. Both the natures has to be aligned parallelly, and it is aligned like on day-to-day basis. That is how the divine alignment happens.
Swamiji, you spoke about Varna Vidya. Can you tell something more about Varna Vidya? How did you get this Vidya?
See, as I've spoken about the glands, the word for glands is Granthi, and from Granthi only the Granth appears. As your Granthis, the glands become more and more active, more and more the godly divine knowledge, which is called Vidya, it appears in one's life. It is downloaded like that. What I've learned with the grace of my master is a buffet of Vidyas, out of which one such flower is Varna Vidya. And Varna Vidya, as I always say this thing, that Varna Vidya is the glorification of a crowned being, a being who is at Sahasrar. Sahasrar simply means Sahasra R, Sahasra Ra. Sahasra means thousands, Ra means Surya, sun. The English letter Ra also means sun. The Devanagari Ra also means Surya, sun. And that is why sun is also called Ravi, with golden vitality is called Ravi. So Varna Vidya is, as I just said, it is the glorification of a Sahasrar being. The one who reaches the Sahasrar, who attains the Sahasrar, Varna Vidya appears in that being. And like in Lalita Sahasranam, there comes a verse which says Sahasradal Padmasta Sarva Varno Pashopita. When Devi reaches the Sahasrar, she is glorified with all the Varna, and that is one indication, clear indication that the being is at Sahasrar, and Varna Vidya is received as gift. Because Varna Vidya means all the seeds, all the mantra bases, and then at the same time the Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma simply means the formation of the word from the Varna, which means sound, and then comes the purification of the sound. And purification of sound, certainly it simply means Vishuddhi. And V Shabda also simply means the Hams. And in Goraksha Samhita, it simply says V Shabdena Smrito Hamsa. Once you speak of the word V, you should know the word Hams. So Varna Vidya, it gives a clear indication of how the sounds are functional and the frequency is working in this reality. That is what Varna Vidya, and that is how on the go it has appeared in my life in 2016.
So it has appeared, you did not learn.
Oh no.
So people cannot learn, it has to come.
It has to come, but once you have the master in your life, master teaches you that Vidya. As I said, with the grace of my master only, because that's the first thing everyone remembers. And everyone has to remember, because without the grace of a master, nothing can work, nothing can appear in one's life.
So here when you say master, it is Babaji.
Yes. I generally don't speak about Babaji much, because if I speak about Babaji, then it's like, things are molded in so many ways, and in today's world, when you have like so many people speaking about Babaji, then it becomes a fashion, and everyone tries to replicate the same thing, which I really don't want. That is why I don't speak about it.
You also spoke about Shabda Brahma. What exactly is Shabda Brahma?
Shabda Brahma is like the basic is Varna Vidya. Varna Vidya simply means the Varna. So Varna Akshar means the Varnamala. So we have Varnamala from A to Shra. So A is all Swar, and from Ka to Shra is all Vyanjan. Vyanjan also in simple words means a recipe. So Shabda Brahma simply means how you form with Swar and Vyanjan a different recipe, a different word, so that it gives a different meaning, and the real meaning should appear in one's conscious. And that is how Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma simply means the sound is used to form Shabda, like sound to word. So you speak something which is sound, and you know how to write it is called Shabda, which is like symbolizing the sound. That whole Vidya is called Shabda Brahma.
So Varna Vidya and Shabda Brahma are very much related.
Yes, absolutely. They are both related, and Lipi is also like when you know how to write different scripts, the sounds of different scripts. Like if you know how to write Telugu, so you know the Lipi of the Telugu. Lipi means how to write the sound of different scripts. That is what is Lipi. So Varna Vidya, Shabda Brahma and Lipi, they function together. They all work together.
What is the role of Shabda Brahma and Varna Vidya in manifesting a reality that we want?
So the most important thing is it is all about sound. What you speak is sound. More elevated your sound is, more purified a being you are. Like today's being, we have just spoken about it, they have like more of a programmed speech. They speak of the same authored language, more of simple words which they use from social media, or which dictionary only tells them, they speak only that. So there is no real way of writing the things, or real way of realizing what exactly one should write or speak. So Varna Vidya and Shabda Brahma, these are the Vidyas which gives you how the words are functional in one's life, how sounds and the words are functional in this whole matrix, how words are creating the reality in this whole matrix, on this whole earthly reality. Because you see, wherever you go, you see certain words and numbers. It's all symbols. Word, when we say of the word, it simply means symbol. So there are symbolism which are working in this reality. Wherever you go, you have certain symbols. Okay. So those symbols you should see, and you should know what exactly this sound is about. And from that sound only you know what exactly is going to come up now in this reality. And that is like a very higher advanced process of getting into the whole Varna Vidya and the manifestation. But yes, the sound is actually functional everywhere, and that sound itself, it brings the manifestation, because what you speak is going to create your reality. It is just like that. Like Prahlad speaks Narayan Narayan, the reality is different. Hiranyakashyap speaks only his name, so reality is absolutely different. So what code you are speaking out of your mouth is going to create your reality like that. That is how the earthly reality is functional.
So that is how you will have your manifestation.
Yeah.
Based on the words that you speak,
Absolutely.
based on the sounds that your words are generating.
Absolutely.
So the basis is Varna Vidya and Shabda Brahma.
Absolutely.
Is the source of all manifestation
Absolutely.
in everyone's life.
Absolutely. First was the word was with the God, word was God.
Swamiji, you spoke about Mooladhara. Can you now tell us how to balance our Swadhisthana chakra?
Like for any mastery, like on Mooladhara mastery, I have said like you have to work on the basics, and basic discipline is very, very important in one's life. As you master your basics and then you move on to the Swadhisthana. The word Swadhisthana is very, very important. To master something, you should know what exactly the subject is all about. So Swadhisthana simply means it is Swa. Swa means self. Dhi means buddhi. Sthan simply means the place. The place of one's own intelligence is Swadhisthana. And how one can have real knowledge for oneself if one does not have the basics of the life intact. Once you have the basics of the life intact, which means you have the right teacher, the real teacher, the master. Not the word guru as used as noun, but I might explain the word maybe a little later. But the real master is there as the center, and then you learn the basic discipline, and by default, by virtue of that, your intelligence begin to work in the similar way, and ultimately you work on the Sushumna, and you ultimately keep on activating one after the other, every center thereafter and thereon. And that is what Swadhisthana is all about. Swadhisthana simply means to activate your own intelligence than the borrowed one.
So to activate our inner intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
The word energy simply means your energy. Energy means your inner God's land, create the real energy. More energy is aligned, more better it is.
So how to align that energy?
Energy simply means applying the higher discipline, the higher laws, the higher discipline in the earthly body. Like you look at the word G, the small g in English. Okay, it has two loops. One is above, one is below, and both are the same. So small g symbol, it simply represents the law as above, so below. So as you apply the higher principles in your earthly body while being on earth, living there, more energy is aligned, more energy is produced.
I really like that, Swamiji. More energy is aligned, then more energy is.
Yeah. Like G also forms the glands, G glands. So that is also called Granthi. So more energy is aligned to the higher principles, higher laws, the divine laws. More knowledge simply you receive, more better your Swadhisthana becomes, and more activated it is, and finally it becomes fully blossomed as a flower.
Beautiful. Thank you, Swamiji. And then when it comes to Manipurata, how can we balance it?
Manipur, the word Manipur simply means Manipur. Pur means land, and Mani means the jewel, the diamond. So there is a diamond which is produced in one's body once in a month on a specific time, and there are 12 manis which are produced in a year. That's a process, that's a very higher advanced process which master makes his disciple pass through, and that discipline has to go for 40 months, which is called Chalisa. Nowadays people call 40 days as Chalisa. 40 months is Chalisa. And once you do the discipline for 40 months for the Manipur, under the right guidance of the real master, the Manipur is activated. And Manipur simply means you know how to handle your money on a specific time in a month. And one mani is also called one Jyoti. So there are 12 Jyotis which are produced, and it simply means a Linga Sharir, 12 Jyotirling, which are there on the land as well. So in your Manipur, 12 Jyotirling has to be activated, and For Chalisa, like 40 months, you have to do the discipline, and by default, 4th year becomes a leap year for that being. That is how the Manipur. Rest, I might add in some other interview.
And Anahat Chakra, usually it is associated with love for many people. But I think you have a different teaching for it.
Yeah, Anahat, love is not Anahat. Anahat because people relate love to heart. That is why they speak of love. But heart simply means he art. It is God's art. It is God's art of creation. That is called Anahat. And God's art of creation is always Anahat, which means immortality. Anahat means immortality, immortal. And after you do the basic discipline, then the Swadhisthana, then Manipur discipline, and ultimately you reach onto a point where you enter the immortal world, the world of immortality. And immortality is simply related to the nectar, which means som, ether, elixir, madhu. So that is why there are vidyas like Madhu Vidya, and Ved mentioned about that Vidya as well. Atharva Ved has mentioned about Madhu Vidya, and people really have lost the Vidya part. So Anahat simply means immortal. So if anyone's Anahat is activated, they must know the laws of immortality and how it functions on land while being on the body.
So Swamiji, when you speak about immortality, does it mean the physical body immortality, or you're talking about the immortal nature of a soul?
So there are beings who are spirit. There are beings rare as soul. The word soul means sun. The spirit means Jivatma, and soul means Atma. And there is a super soul which means Param Atma. And all beings who are born as spirit, Jivatma, they have to evolve as Atma. Atma is Shashvat. Atma is eternal. Atma is immortal. So immortality simply means you reach to the level of the spirit. Body is not immortal. Body is always, it's temporary. Whatever is temporary belongs to earth. Whatever becomes permanent belongs to divine.
So being stationed in Anahata, it means that one understands the immortal nature of oneself.
Being established on Anahat, it simply means one becomes a spirit and lives as a spirit. That is where the real spirituality begins. That is why in Sanskrit for heart there is a word used, is called Hridi. Hridi means your Hridi Granthi, your Hridi gland is opened. And then there is another word which is called Kuru for heart. So that is why the battle of Kurukshetra also is there. Kurukshetra means the Anahat. This part is called Kurukshetra. So Kurukshetra means the land of the heart, the zone of the heart. And when you are in the zone of the heart, immediately you become a spirit. And from there the real spirituality begins. Before that, up to Manipur, it is all earthly life, which is called Trigunatmak life. Like on 3 times and 3 centers, lower 3 centers. And above diaphragm is the immortal world, the real spirit way of living, which is called spiritual life, spiritual laws, spiritual lifestyle. At Anahat, the spirit is activated. That is why it is called Kuru. Ka means Vidyut, electricity, and Uru means the serpentine energy. The serpentine energy activates fully as spirit only at Anahat.
You already gave some points about Vishuddha. How can one actually balance Vishuddha Chakra? Is it about sharing the truth that they have known, just that, or more than that?
The word Vishuddhi has 2 parts. One is Vi and Shuddhi means purification. Vi means vigor, vitality, and Shuddhi simply means to purify. So once your spirit is activated at Anahat, your Vishuddhi becomes easy to be activated, because Vishuddhi simply is related to the speech and the real expression of speech, not the artificial, learned, taught, programmed artificial speech. So real way of speaking is always about higher beings, about the divine beings, about the beings who are evolved, who are actually soul, or who have actually experienced it fully. So those beings only should be spoken about, spoken to. They should be glorified through the speech. They should be appreciated through the speech. Like if Arjun speaks to Krishna, he's not putting up his pleas in terms of the questions, but at the same time he's speaking his beautiful name. Like he's calling him Madhav, he's calling him, Krishna, he's calling him by various names that he sees in Krishna. So speaking the beautiful names through the mouth is the real speech, but the divine qualities, not any gibberish or any XYZ speech. So that is how one purifies the speech. And in the Rishikul system or the Gurukul system also, the most important factor is speech. Once you enter the Rishikul or Gurukul, from the ancient times, the speech was to be corrected. That is why if you see the Vedic mantra, the Vedic chants, also they are about speech correction. They will teach you all the sounds on different notations. Like first verse begins with Shadas, the other begins with Rishabh, another is on some other note out of the Sargam. So they are all about speech correction, and without the speech correction, it is not possible to elevate yourself to the Ajna.
Cool, Swamiji. So we live in three fields. One, field of speech, which you said Vishuddha, and then we also live in field of action and field of thoughts. So how to be in the field of thoughts?
Okay.
And which chakra would influence that?
So thought, when we speak of thought simply means about man. So there are different instruments of functionality. One is sensory, second is manas, third is buddhi, fourth is atma. Most of the beings in this reality, rather majority beings in this reality, they function only at the level of senses and man. That is why it is all about thoughts and experiences, because experiences, when you say experience, it is not intelligence, it is all about mind. When you speak of any thought, that simply means mind. When people express in emotions, the word emotion means energy in the motion, E in the motion, which means the imbalanced state. It is not stable. Stable is a feeling. What is fixed is a feeling. What changes as or oscillates between the two nadis, like maybe in Ida or Pingala, it is emotion. So when one fixes oneself in the center, in the right being, in the real being, it becomes easy to explore all the centers. And mind functions at all the centers in one go. It is not about like on one specific center. It functions at Mooladhara also. It functions at Swadhisthana, it functions at Anahat, it functions at Manipur. All centers. It functions on all the centers, not only on one. But mind is dropped, to produce more thoughts by itself or to subscribe thoughts or absorb thoughts from the outside world the moment it enters the Anahat. Then you create the thought rather than thoughts arriving into you. Because the word man simply means ma-na. Ma-na. Okay, na means no, na, nahi. It's a negation. Ma means matter. What is not matter is mind. And who is the being whom you call as mind? I simply give a straight line answer. It is the one who minds is still a mind. When you stop minding things, you're no more a mind.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Swamiji, further, what is Agna Chakra and how to balance one's Agna Chakra?
As we go on to the journey to all centers, like from one after the other, and it is always like one center is activated after the other. It is never like, you can function on Agnya, but you can have like bad basics, like bad Mooladhara. If you activate like Manipur, which is like a very big thing. If reaching on, activating Manipur and reaching onto Manipur is like a very big thing. If you reach there also, it is like a mastery. It's a full-fledged mastery. And going to Agnya is so like higher mastery then. Okay, because people really don't know how to activate even Manipur. Because once you don't know what is money and where it is produced and how it is produced and how you will actually have money's nourishment through Som, then it will not work. So after you reach from one center to the other and then you reach Agnya, then that is a state of the Agnya simply means the instruction. Agnya. Okay, instruction. Then you are the one who gives the instruction when you are at the Agnya. And Agnya has two outputs. One is the complete total bliss, permanent pleasure, and second is the real way of looking at the world. to see what exactly is happening in the physical world as well as the inner world. Both the worlds has to be aligned properly. That is what Agnya is. Like Agnya is about the spiritual vision. Physical eyes are for the physical vision, physical watching, physical experience of the reality. Agnya is about the spiritual experience of the reality. So spiritual experience can only occur to the one who knows how to use the physical eyes better than just closing it. If you close the physical eyes, you can never open the spiritual eye, because these eyes has to open the moment sun appears. These eyes can go on to closing mode the moment sun goes. Sun is there, you have to be keeping your eyes open. And then is the Agnya. And Agnya gives the real vision of the world. It shows you the reality as it is, without any compromise, without any adjustment, and without any mixing of things. And then at the same time, it is like permanent bliss, total bliss, pleasure.
Cool, Swamiji. Thank you. Now that we have discussed about all 6 chakras and the 7th, Sahasrara, which is the state. So how can one get stationed or activate their Sahasrara? And what is the significance of it for the whole humanity?
So the being who is at Sahasrara, as I've given like indications of that being, that who is at Sahasrara, how would you know, and what scripts mention about it. The being at Sahasrara simply means a multidimensional being. A being with multidimensionality of behavior, multidimensionality of living as one being, multidimensionality of living in various roles, multidimensionality in delivering, multidimensionality aligned perfectly with nature and with the higher laws on this land. So he's like master in all. The word master also simply means the manifested aster. M means matter, aster means star. So master is a star in the body. So master is the real star at Sahasrara. Okay, and the being at Sahasrara can only reach who is actually aligned with the earthly reality to deliver certain things in the reality, not the masses thing. Because like Krishna appears in the reality, the Sahasrara being or multidimensional beings like Krishna appear in the reality, and as he appears, he delivers to Arjun and to few more beings like Uddhav, not to like masses. So Sahasrara being appears and he delivers to few, and then he goes out. Because he comes here for certain task, certain work. He travels this land. He's on a vihar, like pleasure journey. He comes here, delivers, and he goes back. That is what a Sahasrara being is all about.
What is the measure of one's enlightenment?
The very simple answer for measure of enlightenment is who has crossed the path of this matrix. The one who has broken the matrix for oneself, only they can be called as the enlightened master. Anyone who has not solved the puzzle of matrix cannot be called an enlightened master. Aap mukat mukat kare sansar nanak tis jan ko sada namaskar. The one who is free and free is the other. They only can be bowed unto. And to see the freedom, you have to look at the being's physical earthly life. If the being is free in the earthly life, only then such being can create freedom in the spiritual realm. Otherwise, it's not possible.
That's a good correlation that you have made. How many beings you think now on Earth planet are present who are enlightened?
Very rare. It's like rare of the rarest. And certainly it's like the rarest phenomena. It is not like a mass thing. And it never happens for the masses. And it is not possible. Rare, very rare. That's what I can say.
Swamiji, what does the word Guru signify?
So today in the world you will see, Pradeep, the word Guru is used as a noun. It is like, everyone calls some being as the word Guru. Okay, that Guru word is used as noun. Now Guru is a very big principle. The word Guru, if you will look at, it is like, it covers G, and we have you've spoken about the word G, how it shows that like the laws of higher world to practice in this realm, and it is as above and so below. It is small g. And Uru means the serpentine energy. So the being who teaches G and activates Uru is a Guru. Not any being who teaches, like when one small thing or one certification course becomes a guru, or any being like that. Okay. So the word guru is not noun, it is a subject. Subject which an evolved being teaches to a sincere seeker. Like if someone goes to the Gurukul, you will see in the ancient times, the word guru has never come up. They use the word rishi. The word rishi, it means Ri means the science, Vidya, and Ishi matlab divine. So rishi means the divine knowledge. The one who knows the divine science is the rishi, and a rishi teaches the subject called guru, which covers both the laws, the G, as above so below, and activates the Uru. And in his presence also, the Uru begins to function and gets more pleased. That's the real meaning of the word guru.
That's a very beautiful explanation, Swamiji. Now I will pose some quick questions. What is yantra, mantra and tantra?
The right sequence would be tantra, mantra and yantra. Okay. So tantra simply means the discipline of body, tan, in the Trigunaatmak world. Mantra means discipline of the mind, man, in the Trigunaatmak world, in the three. And yantra means the discipline of the total yantra, the machine that we are living inside, the earthly machine, the time machine that we are inside. So there are three disciplines for all these. Like tantra has 3 disciplines, mantra has similar 3 disciplines, and yantra also has 3 disciplines, which is first, like it goes the same way. The first is about the posture of the tan, man, and the machine, which is yantra. The input and the output are the rest. So tantra means the 3 disciplines, like input, output and the posture of the body. Mantra means the 3 disciplines, input, output and posture of the mind. Yantra means the 3 disciplines, to know of the 3 disciplines of the yantra, of the whole earthly body, as input, output and the posture as center. Now posture of the body is about spine. Posture of the mind is about the teacher, master, whom you hook on to. Posture of the earth is about the north pole, central axis. So input, output and the posture, these are the three disciplines for tantra, mantra and yantra.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Swamiji, is it possible to come out of the influence of gunas?
Absolutely, yes.
If so, how?
Okay. To come out of the influence of the gunas, firstly one has to correct the basics, as I've said. Like as you move along your centers, as you activate one after the other, one can be free from the trigunas. The trigunas are functional only on the body and mind, not on the spirit. Spirit is always untouched. It is Niranjan. It cannot be touched. It cannot be harmed in any way. So once you reach Anahat, you're out of the triguna.
So Rajo, Tamo, Sattva, and then you have Shuddha Sattvika and then Nirguna. So Nirguna, is it just a quality of the spirit, or can we really achieve that through our mind also?
Like we use the term Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. So Rajas simply means you want to possess. Rajas means Rajasva. If one being wants to possess something in the world, it is called Raj. If one being wants to degrade something, it is called Tam. If one wants to elevate oneself, it is called Satya. And if being is out of all these 3, is called Nirgun. So there is no gun. As I said, Anahat means spirit. The moment you reach Anahat, where you are living as spirit, the spirit is completely untouched, cannot be harmed, it is completely free, and the being lives as a free being in this reality and is a Nirgun being. And it is not about the mind, it is about the Atma. Atma means the spirit, the soul, which means the Paramatma.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Swamiji, what is liberation and salvation? What is the difference between that?
Let us look at the word liberation first. Liberation simply means to liberate yourself. Do we think it is possible if one does not know what exactly is trapping? And to liberate oneself, one has to firstly know how to be free in the physical world, in the physical earthly life. Once you know how to have freedom in the physical earthly life, you can liberate yourself on all the matrices, because there are like different matrices. The first matrix is about your education, then it is about your work, then it is about money, then it is about health, which is again the body matrix. So there are multiple matrices which are functional, and all throughout your life you are part of one or the two matrices. Then relationship matrix is there, then ultimately more further matrices are created, responsibility matrix is there. So there are multiple matrices that one being creates around oneself. If you know how to be free in the earthly matrices, one can liberate oneself at the end of the birth, because one birth is one opportunity to train oneself. To be free here means to be free beyond. If you're not free here, you cannot free yourself for the afterlife or any life if there is. Then comes the word salvation. The word salvation has a root word saliva. Okay, salve, saliva, that's the root word, and it comes from the root word sal. So S and Al is light, S is your spiritual energy, the snake energy. So if you activate your snake energy and you produce light within, and you correct your fluids, the basic fluids of your body, which begins, the first fluid is saliva, then one leads to the salvation within the body itself.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Swamiji, what does Mukti and Moksha mean to you, and what bells does it ring inside?
So the word Mukti and Moksha are like two different terms. So Ma Ukti is called Mukti. Ma means matter, Ukti means the technique. The technique to be free in the matter or from the matter is Mukti. Moksha simply means Mohakshay, means when you completely shun off the moha, the attachments in the earthly life. Yet you're living, but you don't have any attachment. Moha. You don't burn yourself in any memories of a being, or you don't burn yourself in more allurements of gaining some material thing, maybe some money, property, car or something. That is called moksha. Once you attain that, you are experiencing moksha. And once you're free from the bodily things also, that is called mukti, or the matter things also is called mukti. Yeah.
Swamiji, what is purpose of every human life, and what is purpose of your life?
Once we speak of the human life, there are two different beings on this reality, on this land. One are like the Kshar and Akshar, like Bhagavad Gita also mentions about it. Kshar means the one who will just die, who are there just to live and die. There are beings who are Akshar, who are like free beings, who are recreated, who cannot be destroyed. So those are Akshar. So these can be, in English we can call it like spirit and the non-spirit beings. So Akshar means the spirit beings, Kshar means the non-spirit beings. So both have like different purposes. Kshar beings are created or populated in this reality to fill up the voids in this reality, the free space, so that they just experience the reality and make your reality look more real. And Akshar being the spirit beings are there to nourish this reality with their soul. They are also called the Dev, means the light being. Devata means light being in the body. So spirits have some purpose in this real, this earthly real. And the main purpose is to free their self from this matrix. And that's the main purpose of one's birth. That is the goal. The real goal that one has to hit by the end of one's birth is to free oneself from the earthly reality. And to free oneself from the earthly reality is called Mukti.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Swamiji, what are your next steps towards spreading more light in the humanity?
So the most important thing that we are focusing upon, and I am more focusing upon the thing which are related to dharma. The word dharma means law, and the word Bhagavat means divine law. Sanatan dharma means eternal law. So the all root word is dharma. And to know the law, what exactly one has to practice while being in the body, that is what I am here to spread for, among the humanity. And to spread that, we are coming up with Bharat Vihar, where, because as I said, the word Bharat is about the land that we are living upon, which we call our country today. And Bharatvarsh means the whole land on earth. So Bharat and Bharatvarsh are like connected. So to awaken Bharatvarsh also, one has to firstly awaken Bharat and to wake the Bharat up. And it had been a tradition on this land, which is called Parampara, that every master, every higher being, they have walked this land with their Shishya, with their disciples, with their seekers. And they walk this land as Bihar. They walk the land and then they keep spreading the message, and then they reach back to the source land. So that is what we are coming up with. And throughout the Bharat Vihar, we'll be covering just like the sun's trajectory. And we'll be covering the whole Bharat from north to northeast to south and west, and then coming back to the north again. And the message is only about dharma. That's the only thing, and to wake the spirit beings for what exactly is coming up on earth.
All the best with your endeavors, Swamiji. Swamiji, what is your message to the world?
The world has to prepare themselves today for what exactly is coming up in this earthly reality, and to prepare themselves they have to work on individual basis, on one-on-one basis on their self, than just going by what exactly is happening in the masses. If they don't work upon their self and they don't discipline their self, the upcoming time is coming up as more challenging, and beings have to really wake up and do something for their birth, not just going by the masses.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for your time and for your thoughts that you have shared with us today. Thank you so much. And my dear friends, we have seen Sri Vishal Palji and his beautiful thoughts on importance of Shabda Brahma, Varna Vidya, and importance of discipline. So we'll meet with one more master on another day. Your Pradeep Anirudh signing off. Thank you.